Have you ever crossed paths with someone and for a moment it felt like time just stopped? Like the noise of the world faded into silence, the chaos stilled, and all that was left was this unexplainable pull, like gravity between two souls. It wasn't just chemistry, it wasn't just luck. It was something bigger, something cosmic. Carl Jung had a name for this phenomenon: synchronicity. A moment when your inner world collides with the outer world in perfect harmony. A moment that says, pay attention. This isn't a coincidence. Because sometimes the people we meet aren't just people, they're mirrors, messengers, guides sent by the universe. They walk into our lives not by chance, but by divine design. And when the universe truly wants you to meet someone, it doesn't shout, it whispers. It comes through dreams, repeated signs, subtle nudges, that quiet but undeniable knowing in your soul. In this video, we're not just talking about love or attraction. We're talking about soul-level connections, the kind that wake you up, that change your path forever. So if you've ever felt like someone mattered too much, too fast, or too deeply, stay with me, because this might be the message your soul has been waiting for. Or Chapter 1, The Universe Whispers, Not Shouts. Have you ever noticed how, when something truly important is about to happen in your life, the world doesn't scream it into your ears, it whispers? The most powerful moments in your life don't crash in like thunder. They arrive like soft rain tapping on your window while the rest of the world sleeps. That's how the universe introduces someone meant to shake your soul, not with noise, but with silence. The first sign isn't dramatic. It's not fireworks, it's not violins in the background. It's not even butterflies in your stomach. It's something deeper, something quieter, a stillness. It's that fleeting moment when everything else fades out. Your mind stops racing, your insecurities go silent, and something inside you just knows. You meet them, and it's not about their looks or their words. It's about their energy. It feels familiar, like you've met before even though you haven't. Like your soul has been waiting, preparing, hoping for this exact presence. That's not fantasy, that's not delusion, that's alignment. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." He believed that when your inner world is truly aligned, your fears understood, your wounds acknowledged, your truth embraced, the outer world responds. It reflects you. It mirrors you. When that happens, the universe doesn't have to yell. It doesn't have to force or push, because your soul is ready. And when your soul is ready, the right person appears, not to complete you, but to mirror you. Here's what most people miss. A true connection, one that's divinely timed, doesn't just show you love or beauty or attraction. It shows you truth. That person becomes a mirror, not the kind that flatters, but the kind that reflects your shadows, your depth, your light, and your potential. You don't just see them, you see yourself through them. Maybe for the first time in your life. This isn't infatuation, this is transformation. And it all starts with a whisper. Chapter 2. The synchronicities are too precise to ignore. You think about them, and suddenly they text you. Not hours later, not the next day, right there in that exact moment. As if the universe read your mind. You open your phone, there's a missed call. Or maybe you're having a rough day, lost in your thoughts, and the next song on the radio feels like it was written for you, about them. You pause, you get goosebumps because it feels like something that, or someone, is trying to speak to you. And it doesn't stop there. You walk into a crowded place, a train station, a bookstore, an airport you've never been to before. And somehow, they're there. You lock eyes and it doesn't feel random. It feels orchestrated, like life itself was waiting for this exact moment. You start noticing pattern, their initials on a license plate, their name overheard in a stranger's conversation. You're not looking for signs, the signs are looking for you. These aren't random glitches in the matrix, they're synchronicities. Carl Jung describes synchronicity as a meaningful coincidence of two or more events where something other than chance is at play. In other words, they're not causally connected, but they're too meaningful to ignore. It's the universe's way of tapping you on the shoulder, whispering, "There's something here, pay attention." And here's the thing. These signs don't happen to everyone. They happen to those who are becoming conscious, to those aligning with their truth, to those waking up to something greater than logic. Because when your inner world, your desires, your soul, your energy is aligned, the outer world starts to respond. And that response is often a person, a soul, a mirror, a presence that keeps showing up. Not to confuse you, but to awaken you. This isn't superstition. It's soul-level intelligence, a language written in symbols, patterns, and timing. When you're off track, the universe blocks paths. When you're aligned, it clears the way. And sometimes it sends someone who defies logic, someone who makes you feel seen without a single word, someone who feels familiar though you just met, someone who activates something deep within you, something buried, sacred, ancient. You can't explain it. You can't stop thinking about them. You feel drawn, connected, even challenged. You might run from it, doubt it, deny it, but the universe keeps whispering back. Through signs, through moments, through that unshakable knowing that this isn't just anyone. This was written. Falling for someone often feels like magic, but what if I told you? It's not really about them, not their smile, not their presence, not even how they make you feel. It's about what they awaken in you, deep beneath the surface, where memories live, where wounds sleep, where the parts of you you've buried are still waiting to be seen. Sometimes we don't fall for a person. We fall for the version of ourselves that comes alive when they walk into the room. Carl Jung called this projection. It's one of the most misunderstood yet powerful ideas in psychology. You see, every one of us carries two versions of self, the one we show to the world and the one we hide, the light and the shadow, the pain and the brilliance. And when someone enters our life, we unconsciously project all of it onto them. The good, the bad, the broken, the divine. That's why you feel instantly drawn to certain people, not because they're perfect, but because they carry something your soul's been searching for, something you lost, something you suppressed, something you never had the courage to face on your own. Maybe you admire their independence because deep inside you've always felt trapped. Maybe you envy their calm because your inner world has been chaos for years. Maybe you fear their distance because it reminds you of someone who once left. They don't just reflect your desires, they reflect your wounds, and in that reflection you see more than a face. You see your story, your patterns, the fears you never voiced, the love you never gave yourself. This is where it gets uncomfortable, because real connections don't flatter your ego. They confront it. They shake your comfort zone. They show you where you bleed. They show you where you need to heal. That's why soul connections are rarely easy. They're intense, messy, raw, but they're real. They bring you face to face with you. Not the polished version, not the version people like on social media, but the version that still aches, still grieves, still waits to be seen. Sometimes you meet someone who feels like home, but the truth is they're not your home. They're the mirror reminding you to go back home to yourself. And here's the wildest part. You don't always end up with that person, but you always end up changed because they cracked something open in you. They reminded you of who you could become, and that reflection, it never fades. So if someone made you feel more alive, more vulnerable, more seen than ever before, don't just ask, why did they come? Ask, what did they awaken in me? Maybe they didn't come to stay. Maybe they came to introduce you to you. Chapter 4. The pain is proof of depth. Here's a truth most people never say out loud. When the universe sends someone truly aligned with your soul, it won't always feel like a fairy tale. It won't always come wrapped in peace, comfort, or butterflies. Sometimes it feels like fire. Sometimes it feels like everything inside you is breaking apart, not because they're wrong for you, but because your soul is finally waking up. When someone touches your soul at a deep level, they don't just bring joy, they bring clarity, and clarity hurts, because now you finally see what you've been avoiding for years. The walls you built around your heart start to crack. The wounds you buried rise to the surface. The coping mechanisms you called strength start to crumble. Why? Because real love doesn't play by the ego's rules. It doesn't show up just to make you feel safe. It shows up to make you whole, and to become whole, you must confront what's broken. You start asking questions you've never asked before. Why am I scared of being abandoned? Why do I push away the people who care? Why does vulnerability feel like danger? And suddenly you realize you're not just falling for them, you're falling into your unhealed self. Jung said it best. One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. In other words, you don't heal by pretending you're fine. You heal by facing what's not fine. And sometimes the person who makes your heart race is the same person who holds up a mirror to the pain you've refused to look at. They don't hurt you intentionally, but their presence reveals what still needs healing. Maybe their distance triggers your childhood fear of rejection. Maybe their confidence exposes your hidden insecurities. Maybe their silence reactivates memories of being unseen, ignored, or forgotten. But that doesn't mean they're your enemy. It means they're your teacher. Real relationships aren't just about love. They're about growth. Because love isn't meant to make you comfortable. It's meant to make you better. Every trigger they awaken is an invitation to heal, to reflect, to evolve. That's why pain is never the end of the story. Pain is the beginning of deep inner work, of transformation. You start journaling again. You start asking deeper questions. You start noticing your patterns. You finally learn how to love yourself, not because someone told you to, but because your soul now demands it. You stop running from the past. You stop blaming others. You take responsibility, and in doing so, you grow in ways you never imagined. This pain is sacred. It's proof the connection was real, because superficial connections don't shake you like this. Only soul-level encounters do, and as you heal, you begin to feel something unexpected. Gratitude. Not because it was easy, but because it was honest, because it changed you. This kind of love becomes your spiritual teacher. The relationship, whether it lasted or not, becomes your greatest classroom. Not every love story is meant to stay, but some are meant to break you open, so you never live numb again. So the next time you feel pain after meeting someone profound, don't curse it. Don't run from it. Don't numb it. Honor it. Because that pain isn't a sign something went wrong. It's a sign something finally went deep, and depth, that's where real healing begins. Every soul carries a silent storm inside it. Not the kind that tears down cities, but the kind that quietly erodes self-worth. That storm is made of the pieces we try to forget, the jealousy we suppress, the neediness we're ashamed of, the fears we bury so deep we forget they exist. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the hidden self. Not the version you post online, not the version your friends admire, but the version you meet in silence. The one that flinches at abandonment, the one that panics when someone gets too close, the one that fears love and craves it at the same time. For most of our lives, we keep that shadow locked away, behind jokes, behind confidence, behind filters and masks, until one day, someone walks in. And not just anyone, a soul connection, a presence that doesn't just walk into your life, they walk straight into your unconscious. Suddenly your shadow starts to stir. not to punish you, but to finally be seen. You start feeling things you don't understand. You get jealous even though you've always called yourself secure. You become needy though you swore you'd never depend on anyone again. You fear losing them even though you promised yourself you'd never get attached. And in that confusion, that emotional chaos, you ask, what's happening to me? Here's what's happening. Your shadow is awakening. And it's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. This person didn't cause the storm. They revealed it because their presence was powerful enough to pull your truth to the surface. That's what soul-level love does. It doesn't just celebrate your strengths. It triggers your wounds. It shows you what you've hidden from everyone, including yourself. But here's the shift. Not every emotional storm is a sign something's going wrong. Some storms come to clear the air, to shake off the dust, to cleanse your soul of the weight it was never meant to carry. Some people don't enter your life to complete you. They enter to reveal you, to tear down emotional walls, to crack the armor, to whisper, this is who you really are. This is where it hurts. This is what you need to heal. Destined love isn't about comfort. It's about confrontation, not in a harmful way, but in a sacred soul-evolving way. It says, here are your patterns. Do you want to keep them or do you want to grow? Here's your fear of abandonment. Will you keep running or will you learn to trust? Here's your need for control. Will you keep gripping or will you surrender? And in that choice, growth is born. The shadow, once your enemy, becomes your teacher. The pain, once your curse, becomes your mirror. You start to love the parts of yourself you used to hate. You begin to hold space for your own fears. You stop apologizing for being too much. And instead, you start healing the reasons why you ever believed that. This is what destined love is meant to do. Not give you a perfect partner, but return you to your whole self. So the next time someone walks into your life and shakes everything, don't run. Sit with the discomfort, listen to the shadow, and realize this love didn't come to finish your story. It came to help you rewrite the first chapter of your real self. Chapter 6. Not all destined encounters are forever. There comes a point in your spiritual journey when you realize not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people arrive like storms, loud, powerful, unforgettable. Others arrive like a soft wind, gentle, calm, healing. But whether they come with thunder or silence, they share one truth. They don't arrive to complete you. They arrive to change you. We've been taught to chase forever. Movies, songs, stories, they all worship the idea of happily ever after. But what if the most profound souls you'll ever meet were never meant to stay? What if their role wasn't permanence, but awakening? They come to touch a part of you no one else could reach, to stir something ancient inside your soul, to unlock emotions you've never dared to feel, to challenge your beliefs, to expose your blind spots, to mirror your truth, even the parts you don't want to see. And then they leave. Or life creates distance, or you're forced to let go. And your first instinct? You feel broken. You question everything. You wonder, was it even real? If it was meant to be, why didn't it last? But real doesn't always mean permanent. Jung said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. That's what destined encounters do. They transform you. They don't always fit into your timeline or your plans. They don't always meet your expectations, but they leave fingerprints on your soul that never fade. These people don't come to fulfill your fantasies. They come to burn away your illusions. They shake your soul. They pull you out of autopilot. They trigger the growth comfort never could. Maybe they taught you what real love feels like. Maybe they showed you the parts of yourself you still need to heal. Maybe they inspired you to live a life you were once too afraid to imagine. And maybe, just maybe, Their greatest gift was the pain of their absence, because that pain became your teacher. Pain isn't always punishment. Sometimes it's sacred instruction. These soul encounters remind you that love isn't always about ownership. It's not about forever. It's about evolution. You don't always marry the one who awakens your soul. Sometimes you meet them to remember who you are, to realign your spirit, to prepare you for the next version of your life, a version that couldn't exist without the inner shift they sparked. And as painful as it sounds, it's also freeing. Because you realize letting go doesn't mean you failed. It means the contract of the soul was fulfilled. That's the difference between attachment and awareness. Attachment asks, why can't we go back? Awareness whispers, you've outgrown that chapter. So no, not all destined encounters are forever, but they are never wasted. They are etched into your evolution, carved into your memory, not as regret, but as sacred reminders of how far you've come. One day you'll look back, not with pain, but with peace. Not with longing, but with gratitude, because you'll realize they didn't come to stay. They came to set something in motion, to awaken the next version of you. And in that awakening, you find the most powerful love of all, the love you give yourself when no one else is around. The love that doesn't chase, beg, or cling. The love that trusts, surrenders, and evolves. That is the true purpose of destined love. Chapter 7. The universe sends people when you're ready. There's a spiritual law that doesn't bend to your timeline. It doesn't answer your loneliness. It doesn't respond out of pity. It waits. Until you're ready. Not when you're desperate. Not when you're begging. Not when you're clinging to someone to fill your emptiness. Because the universe doesn't send your mirror when you're drowning in illusion. It sends your lesson. Here's the hard truth. If you're still lost in self-doubt, still chasing validation, still craving love to escape your own reflection, you won't attract a soulmate. You'll attract a mirror of your chaos. Life doesn't respond to your words, it responds to your energy. Desperation attracts confusion. Lack attracts more lack. Fear attracts repetition until you finally say, enough, I want to heal. That's why people come into your life and break your heart. Not because the universe is cruel, but because your soul whispered, teach me what I haven't learned yet. When you operate from pain, you attract it. When you operate from fear, you repeat it. But one day, something shifts. After all the heartbreaks, sleepless nights, and self-betrayals, you stop chasing. You stop begging to be seen. You stop performing for love. You turn inward. You face your wounds. You begin the sacred process of becoming whole, without anyone else. You stop asking, when will I meet the one? And start asking, what parts of me have I been running from? You stop fearing solitude and start falling in love with your own peace. And that's when the universe responds. Not with chaos, not with red flags, but with alignment. It's subtle, quiet, peaceful. Like two piano strings finally vibrating in tune after lifetimes apart. You won't feel the need to chase. You won't overthink. You won't question your worth. Because they won't come to complete you. They'll come to walk beside the version of you that already knows. I am whole. I am ready. I am no longer afraid of my own reflection. That's what true love feels like. Not addiction, not obsession, not chaos, but resonance. And your life will never be the same, not because someone saved you, but because you finally saved yourself. Because the universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you're aligned with. So heal, grow, let go of the noise, become the version of you that no longer begs for love, but attracts it effortlessly simply by being true. Conclusion. The universe doesn't shout. It whispers the next time you meet someone and something inside you shifts. When your breath catches, when time slows, when something unexplainable moves through your chest. Pause. Don't rush to label it, don't force it, just feel it. Because not every spark is romantic, not every connection is forever. But every soul you meet carries meaning. Some come to show you your strength. Some come to awaken your weakness. Some come to remind you of your worth. And some come to teach you how to walk away. So instead of asking, who are they to me? Ask, what are they showing me about me? Is it joy? Is it fear? Is it peace? Or is it an old wound resurfacing? Because people aren't random. They're messengers from the universe, from your higher self, from the version of you that already knows what you need. The universe doesn't send who you want when you're lonely. It sends who your soul needs when you're ready. Some come to shake you. Some come to heal you. Some come to break the illusions around your heart. But all of them, yes, all of them, come to guide you closer to your truth. So the next time someone walks into your life and stirs your soul, don't just react. Observe. Listen. Because the universe doesn't shout. It whispers. And those whispers, they only make sense to the version of you that's finally ready to hear. If someone came to mind just now, someone who changed you even if they didn't stay, share your story, because maybe, just maybe, their soul was the universe whispering through you.